Hello and welcome to the next in the player profile series.
Well, it's my turn. Al got me squirming in the last player profile video. I think you heard my absolute resounding hatred for Alshon Jeffrey. If you haven't,
harsh.
Albatross Jeffrey. I'm throwing a player up this year. I think actually is a very interesting because he will split opinion. He should split opinion because of a few factors. We've been big fans of him here in the podcast. I predicted him on the deep rookie flyer list last year. He was my 5th round star. It's Phillip Lindsay for this year. Now, there are some serious red flags coming in for this season. Seriously, what do you think? Because his ADP is very, very, very good right now. So if you look at his ADP, he's very undervalued there.
47.
What's your view on that? Because I think he's very cheap.
Well, I'll give you my pros and my cons. I think pros, obviously, he runs hard.
Yeah. Heart of a lion.
He came into the team, made the job his own, really.
Hard to do with
kept Freeman out of the team.
Yeah.
Rushed for 1,000 yards, made the Pro Bowl. He's a player. I mean, he did well every week. I mean, he really ran for your team.
If you had him, if you loaded him into your teams, he was potentially a league winner.
Well, he was
Simple
because
you were getting a player of high standards,
because
very
I think
low, very cheap.
And I think I'm very right in saying this, the only person that picked him out at all last year.
I don't think you'll find any podcaster out there, and I mean that with all respect to others. If there is somebody, please give yourself a shout out. We'll happily highlight that here. Who actually predicted him on a video before he broke out? That's going to be hard to do.
I mean, months before as well.
You know, so if you did, please tell us because we'll happily give you that shout out. But I certainly mentioned him, and I
think for the cons for him,
yeah,
it's like. I'm
always
wary.
Do you say that ADP at the moment is that a steal? Because it certainly feels that way.
Yeah, I mean, him and Chris Carson around that sort of... I think they've both got good roles in their offense.
Both potentially lead backs.
I'm not a massive fan of Denver, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's a con. I don't like Flacco, so they can load the box because he can't throw his voice, that bloke, anymore. Yeah. He's gone at the game.
Right,
so
okay.
I hate them.
But is he an improvement? Is he an improvement over the previous quarterback, just temporarily?
No.
So you don't think there's any improvement?
He's not. No, he's gone.
Right.
In his peak.
So do you think he affects the running game and therefore, by definition, affects Phillip Lindsay development?
Yeah, I just don't like Flacco anymore. He's gone at the game. I mean, he potentially had a big arm.
Okay, so if you were picking, 48 was it?
47.
47. That seems a very big steal for me for a potential 3 down. And he is a 3 down back. Is that a steal, or do you think it's fool's gold this year?
No, I think the worry is he's a small back, and the problem with small backs, they've got a higher likelihood of getting injury, and he did get an injury towards the end of last year.
It's a wrist injury, yeah.
And that, when you're a small back, even when you run as hard as he does, there's a high risk of injury, I think.
Yeah. Do you think his ADP climbs? Because I think it's too cheap. So I'm just being honest. Do you think the ADP climbs?
It depends because, in our league where we play in 16 men, there's the position scarcity at a running back.
Do you see him going in the second?
He will go higher than that.
So you think would he go higher?
In normal drafts, I think he'll...
See, 47 is 3 rounds. Do you think he goes higher in the 3rd round?
No, I think he'll go in the 3rd round. Yeah.
Do you think there's any chance he slips into the 2nd in those really... I think there is a chance.
There is, because... The
scarcity
RB,
of position.
In a 16-man, the RB, honestly, it's madness. You've never seen anything.
My take on him is really simple. I mean, look, I think he is a player who, at that ADP, is ridiculous. So if you can get shares of him at 47, you take it all day long in any league format. Because if it's a small league, he's not your 1st or 2nd running back likely. He might be your 3rd. That's great. If he's your 2nd running back, you've already got a premium one at the top of the draft probably. I can totally... But I'm very comfortable with drafting him at that point because I think it's a steal. He plays bigger than his frame. Al highlights the issue because he's a small frame guy who plays tough, who goes through the tackles. I told you before in my rookie fly video how this guy had a heart of a lion, a heart of a champion, and can take knocks and come back. He's already ahead of his schedule.
Body of a midget, though.
Body of a midget, but irrespective, tough as they come.
And, he is. That's
he's come back. I mean, that injury would phase a few players. He's already well on schedule to make camp.
The other thing is he's a crowd favourite as well. They love it.
Yeah, they love it, and so does Terrell Davis. So those things, and John Elway. So those things hold. Where normally Freeman, a lot of people are saying Freeman, would be a good pick for this year as a sleeper.
He's a local player as well, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not that simple because he was the stock value guy. You had all the stock in your favour. But the other guy beat you out for the job. So now, unfortunately, the script has flipped. It doesn't matter about the money that they've paid you. It's a rookie contract. This guy has come out of nowhere. He has now earned the right to get the starting job. So you have to try and beat him out.
But do you think his role might be reduced if they look after him and give Royce a few more carries? He's a bigger back, isn't he?
I think it could be, and my only worry about him is exactly what you've highlighted. I think as a player he will play, if anybody takes touches off him, I think he plays better. Yeah, I just think when people say about riding the hot hand, he is the hot hand because every time he touches the ball, he will look like the hot hand over Freeman.
He's quite a dynamic player, isn't he?
Very, very good. And, he can go the distance because he's electric. I told you, he's the Tasmanian Devil for a reason. He is that good, and now people believe that. So he's a steal at 47. I'd see him going higher, and you're right to highlight in those big leagues. I think he's a second-round target. Sorry, he should be because he's that much of a premium. And I agree with you. The risk is, though, that the smaller back gets injured at some point. If I had to be honest, I'd say he's probably 50-50 for an injury. That's the issue. That's my worry.
You never really predict injuries, but a smaller back is probably
it's more of a worry.
Let's hope not, because I like the player. I'm a big fan of it.
While he plays, he will always give you elite numbers, so I can't argue that. And again, if you can handcuff one with the other, it's a pretty good pick. I mean, you got a pretty good game going for most of the season, and he certainly can take it to the house any time he touches the ball. So I think he's been a bit undervalued there at that ADP. So if you can get it, it's a steal. Take it.
Okay, so what do you think of Lindsay? Are you buying? Did you own him last year? Did he help you win the league?
Hopefully you took some advice.
He got injured late, so I guess he probably didn't. But he would have helped you.
He would certainly help you get there at the very least, and he certainly my best ball got me within shooting distance of winning the best ball.
It's a shame he missed the Pro Bowl with injury. Really.
Yeah, it was.
He deserved it after the year.
But to be named is still worthy prize. So that's the whole point. And really, the Pro Bowl is just a flip around game kind of thing. It's not. It's just a bit of fun. So
probably could have played with his one wrist. I mean,
yeah.
They don't really touch each other, do they?
No, that's it.
That sounds wrong. But so you know what I mean. So
thanks for Al's thoughts on Phillip Lindsay. Do you agree? Do you think he's a steal? Do you think his ADP will climb? What are your thoughts on him? Are you avoiding? Are you worried about more injury risk? Do you think Freeman's the pick? A lot of experts seem to think Freeman's the pick this year over Lindsay. I think that's a mistake. I think you can't swerve the kid.
I can see them both being used because once a player gets an injury, a bit like Kerryon Johnson, they look after him a bit when they know they've got a bit of talent and they're young.
Yeah, you want to try and preserve
they give other people carries, which is frustrating for fantasy, but
sensible for the player.
Yeah, sensible for the team as well.
But I think Phillip Lindsay can thrive on 12 to 14 touches, and if he gets those, then he should be fine.
Yeah, Flacco's my worry. Anything Denver related, Cortland.
Yeah, if you're talking albatrosses, I think you've named the biggest one of all time. Flacco's one of them. He actually really is of absolutely almost zero benefit as a quarterback.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Flacco. He really is. He's one of my biggest losses ever in a bet.
Yeah.
I bet Denver to beat the year Baltimore won the Super Bowl. I bet Denver to beat them.
Yeah.
And Denver basically won. There was one last play from the 20-yard line. It was a Hail Mary by Flacco. Chap Bailey run in, trying to steal all the glory, missed it, and it was taken for a touchdown. And they were beating it. I think they were 1-20. And I'd backed them earlier. And my mate said to me, "Should I trade out?" And I'm like, no, there's no way. No. So he's definitely an albatross for me.
There you go. See, sometimes it affects everybody. These kind of albatrosses.
I've never forgiven him for that.
So there we are. So there's a good take on a player that's very interesting. We think his ADP is going to climb. I personally do believe it will, and we'll give you some feedback later on in the year before we wrap up this year's podcast with how some of these redraft leagues have actually gone and where these players went for us, and that may surprise some of you from America.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks again if you stayed till the end, and thanks very much. Please leave a like. You obviously enjoyed it if you're still here, and let us know your thoughts because we love all the comments. So keep them coming.
Take care.